Hey there, in this video we will look at how to use the distributive property. So the distributive property involves multiplication. So here we are being asked to multiply the terms that we see here. And we are going to use the distributive property to distribute the outside term to the terms inside the parentheses and multiply. So distributive property means we're going to take the outside term and we're going to distribute it to multiply by the terms that are inside the parentheses. Okay, so let's do it. Let's distribute the outside term. So the outside term is negative 3x. So negative 3x times 2x squared is what? So we got negative 3x times 2x squared. So let me just give you a little reminder. A negative times a positive is a negative. So we know we're going to get a negative here. Negative times a positive. 3 times 2 is 6, so that's going to give us negative 6. X times x squared is x to the third. So whenever you multiply variables, you have to add the exponents. See what I did there? I put an invisible 1 there because the x has an invisible exponent of 1 if it doesn't have an exponent there. So when you multiply the variables, you want to add the exponents. Okay, I wrote it for you right there. When multiplying variables, add the exponents. Okay, now let's multiply. So we distributed it to the first term inside the parentheses. Now let's distribute negative 3x to negative 5x. So negative 3x multiplied by negative 5x is what? So again, pay attention to the signs. A negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm going to write plus here, because a negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 5 is 15. X times x. So now remember, you're multiplying variables, so you have to add the exponents. So this has an invisible exponent of 1. This has an invisible exponent of 1. So you're going to add the exponents. You're going to get x squared. That's our final answer. Okay, here is another example. Try this one out. Pause the video, see if you could figure out what you get when you multiply the outside term by the terms inside the parentheses. Okay, so I hope you tried it out. Remember, when you are distributing, you are multiplying. So the outside term is being multiplied. It's being distributed to the terms inside the parentheses. So negative 3x multiplied by 10x squared. So again, you have a negative times a positive, so you know you're going to get a negative answer. And what is the result of our multiplication here? We get negative 3x to the third. Again, when you multiply the variables, make sure you add the exponents, invisible exponent of 1 here. Then we have negative 3x times negative 10. Negative 3x times negative 10. So that's a negative times a negative. We know we're going to get a positive, so there's going to be a plus sign in between the numbers, in between the terms that I'm going to get. So negative 3x times negative 10 is positive 30x. So I write plus 30x. And that's our final answer. Okay, we have one more application of the distributive property. We can also use the distributive property to multiply binomials. And these are called binomials because each set of parentheses is made up of 2 terms. And we're just going to use the distributive property again to multiply these binomials. So here's what we do. We're going to start with 2x first. And what we're going to do is we're going to distribute that 2x. So we're going to have 2x times x. Again, when you multiply variables, make sure you add the exponent. So invisible exponent of 1, invisible exponent of 1. So we're going to get 2x squared. So 2x times x is 2x squared. Then we got 2x times 7. That's going to be positive 14x. So I write plus 14x. Now I'm going to distribute the plus 1. So plus 1 times x is plus 1x. And plus 1 times 7 is positive 7. So this type of multiplication we just did is generally called FOIL. And you know, FOIL, it simply, what it stands for is first, outer, inner, and last. So it stands for first. Let me undo that. Get some blue ink on that I. So it stands for first, outer, inner, last. And really, look, really all you're just doing is the distributive property to multiply these binomials. Okay, so after you distribute or after you perform FOIL, you're just going to combine the like terms. So you're going to combine the like terms. So these are the like terms here, 14x plus 1x. That's going to combine to give you positive 15x. We're just going to bring down the 2x squared, and we're going to bring down the plus 7, and we get 2x squared plus 15x plus 7. That's our final answer. Okay, so here's an example I want you to try. It says expresses a trinomial, but in order for you to do that, you have to multiply. All right, a trinomial is when it's in this form. That's a trinomial. So in order for you to express these binomials as a trinomial, you have to multiply. So go ahead and try it. Use the distributive property that I just went over, or use FOIL, essentially it's the same thing, to multiply and see if you get the correct solution. Okay, so let's begin with the x. So x times 3x. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times 7 is 7x. Now, let's go with the outer. So we got a negative 6. See what I did there? I also circled the sign to the left of the number. That's important, because this is going to be negative 6 times 3x. So it's going to be negative 6 times 3x. That's going to give you negative 18x. And then we got negative 6 times 7. Negative 6 multiplied by 7. That will give us negative 42. So altogether, we get 3x squared. That's a positive 7x, so it's going to be plus 7x minus 18x minus 42. So see, you're going to notice, right, if it's a positive number, I put a plus sign. If it has a negative number, then it gets the subtraction sign. So now you combine the like terms. So the like terms are these two terms right here, the 7x and the minus 18x, and you combine them, you get negative 11x, so subtraction sign. So that's going to give us 3x squared minus 11x minus 42. That is our final answer. All right, I hope this video helps. Take care.